I just can't stop. Managing your own screen time is hard enough, and we are adults with fully formed brains. How much harder is it for kids? How bad are screens, really? And are school cell phone bans part of the solution? Luckily, I know an expert who can come and help us talk about this extremely complex problem. Hello, Vermont. Cell phone bans became commonplace in Vermont schools this academic year, getting a jump on a new state law that makes such bans mandatory starting next year. Vermont's part of a national trend. According to the Associated Press, the majority of U.S. states now have laws banning personal devices in school settings. It's not a red state or a blue state issue. Instead, legislators, schools, and parents all seem to be worried about the impact of screen time on kids. It's even a global issue, according to my guest today, Dr. Chaarani, a neuroscientist and an assistant professor of psychiatry at UVM's Larner College of Medicine. When we set up this interview, he had just returned from Ireland, where he'd been invited to speak about cell phone bans. Dr. Chaarani, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for joining me today. So, first question. What should we really be worried about? Is it the screens themselves, or is it the content on the screens?
That's a great first question. The short answer is really both. Both are important.
Okay.
I would even add a third factor, which is the quantity. So screens themselves can be disruptive. The blue light that the screens emit can interfere our sleep cycles, can hijack our attention systems. So there's that, but then it's really the content that drives engagement and potential addiction. So I would say content is even more important than screens. If you think of an hour spent, for example, on just passively scrolling through social media apps, that's different than an hour spent like making digital art or collaborating on a school project or learning a language on an app. And we all know that even good things in excess can be harmful, right? So quantity is also very important.
Okay. So now you are a neuroscientist, and I thought it would be useful to kind of explain a little bit about what is sort of the scientific issues that are driving some of the talk about bans. So, for example, developmentally, what is going on with adolescent brains?
Yeah, so adolescence is a very interesting period for the brain. So the brain experiences a massive renovation. We can think of it in that way. So where millions of neuronal connections, synapses are being formed, and all of this happening really quickly in a span of a few years. So it is very intensive period on the adolescent brain, which makes it in consequence uniquely sensitive and adaptable to environmental factors, experiences, skills that are being learned, all that can have lasting consequences on the wiring of this adolescent brain.
So the brain is getting larger, it's growing more gray matter, and it's making all of these neural connections during this time. So super important, and we're thinking about the influences on the brain during that time. So what happens if neurodevelopment doesn't proceed normally?
Right. So yeah, it's getting larger, but it's also getting more efficient, more specialized. Now, if this wiring gets disrupted, the adolescence is building foundation for future cognitive regulation, emotional regulation. So any disruption can have lasting consequences and can increase risks, for example, on mental health. We see, for example, detrimental outcomes on anxiety, depression, some cognitive dysregulations, behavioral disruptions, attention problems, etc.
So it really is a time where it's reasonable for us to want to protect the development of adolescent brains.
100%.
And to be thinking about what the impacts, the environmental impacts, things like screen time and excessive screen use.
Absolutely.
Okay. So what is the state of evidence about screens and neural development?
So as children started using screens more and more over the years, and the advance of technology. Pretty much everyone has access to a smartphone these days.
Yeah.
The data shows that children ages 9 to 14 use smartphones and screen time in general about 6 hours per day. This is on average in the US. It is a lot when you think about it.
It also conforms to my experience as a parent. I definitely, it's very hard. If you've parented a child, if you know about your own screen time, it's really hard to get them off the screens. Okay, so go ahead.
As these numbers start appearing and growing, researchers became very interested, obviously, in studying the impact of screen time, smartphone use, etc. Luckily, we have large-scale studies that are required to have reproducible and trustworthy findings, representative findings. UVM is a collection site for a large ABCD study. It's a national study across 21 sites in the US, tracking 12,000 children from ages 9 and 10 into adulthood. And from this study and other larger studies that are not in the US, there's some converging evidence that if we think of total screen time in general, it has been linked with some adverse health effects on, for example, sleep, physical activity, cardiovascular metrics. We're seeing poor cardiovascular metrics.
I think that's really interesting because it's not intuitive. I mean, it seems comprehensible that screen brain, but then when we're talking about things like heart impacts, is this because children are using screen time sitting, being sedentary, it's not moving as well? Is that kind of one of the cascades of impacts?
Yeah, totally. So it's a big chain of factors.
Yeah.
I mentioned physical activity and sleep that can maybe serve as a proxy. This is still ongoing studies, so we don't know for sure. Nothing is like 100% causal at this point. We're still learning from our ongoing studies, but yeah, totally, it's a big chain of factors that can lead to such events.
How long has the ABCD study been going on?
I think it started in 2015, 2016, so it's been going on for 10 years.
Wow.
I was actually in Washington a few days ago, kind of celebrating 10 years of ABCD. So yeah, 10 years.
This is very high quality data.
It is very high quality data. It's a very rich data set, which allows us to study many important questions such as screen time, substance use, etc., and with very accurate correction or adjustment for confounding factors like socioeconomic status, some health metrics, sleep, physical activity. We even have some Fitbit data.
Oh my goodness, okay. Well, okay, now I'm going to switch a little bit to, I know some of your research. Is screen time ever good for kids?
Yes, I'm very interested in video games, and one of my previous studies shed light on the impact or associations of video gaming on the brain and cognition. And in that study published 3 years ago, got a lot of attention in the media, we found that video gaming is actually associated with changes in the brain that are linked to improved performance on attention and working memory. And these were gamers who play 3 hours or more per day. We did see some detrimental effects on mental health or associations, especially ADHD and depression. But then when we look at gamers who play 1 hour or less per day, we don't see these detrimental associations of mental health.
As a gamer yourself, how easy is it for you to limit yourself to 1 hour?
Very challenging. Luckily, I don't have the time anymore to play more than an hour per day. But 10, 15 years ago, I used to be a hardcore gamer, and I had my brain fully matured, and it still was very challenging to stop. So imagine the challenge for these adolescents.
Which is part of what's going on with the bans. I think the school bans are intended to regulate behavior when the students, when kids can't do it for themselves. It's just a ban, it's a bell-to-bell ban. You can't use your device during this time. It gives them a break, right? It's like a little bit of a break. Another issue, though, that's been brought up in the talk about the bans is socializing. That, you know, kids will be on their phones during lunch or be on their phones during passing period, and they're not socializing. What kind of an impact does that have on brain development?
Social interactions in general are critical for, again, the foundation of behavior regulation during adolescence. When two or more children interact, they are analyzing the voice tone, the tonality, they are analyzing the face expressions, they are learning empathy, they are learning how to negotiate, how to conversate, they are building relationship skills. So all that you do not get through online texting and messaging. Which is, again, crucial for behavioral
because we're building all of those neural networks and we're making all those connections. Okay, so we need, it's almost like exercising the brain.
It is like a full body workout for the brain, 100%.
Yeah. Okay, well, so if parents are concerned about things like, you know, healthy brain development, in addition to screen time, what are some other things that parents can do to promote healthy brain development in their adolescence?
It often comes back to the basics, so encouraging healthy sleep habits, physical activity, obviously. With regard to screen time, some examples, especially used in other countries, include making specific zones with no electronic devices or screens, or just hours that, for example, in the house where phones are banned or any electronic is banned.
Parents maybe might want to model that behavior too.
Yes, yeah, 100%. So parents are like the best model of behavior for their kids. I have a room in my house that no electronics are allowed in.
You do? Okay.
Yeah.
So this is something you do for yourself in order to monitor your own screen behavior?
Yeah, even I don't have children around, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well now you have given me a new goal. I'm thinking that this might be something that I need to adopt for myself, a pretty good habit for all of us to be thinking about our own screen use as well as our children's screen use. Dr. Chaarani, thank you so much for joining me. That was very illuminating. I appreciate it. As always, Vermont, thank you for learning and exploring with me today, and thanks to the team that makes Across the Fence possible. I'm Amy Finley. This is Across the Fence. Come back and let's learn and explore again tomorrow.